Good morning, folks, again. It's the 16th of March. This is pretty much an emergency video. I'm going to start doing very short videos. What I want to talk about today is the defense of the nation. The Second Amendment is explicit, and the word necessary is only mentioned one time in the entire Constitution, and that is in the Second Amendment. And it reads, I don't have it handy, I usually have a copy right on the counter here. A well-regulated militia being necessary. This is the only body, politic, in the entire Constitution that is labeled necessary. And it's called necessary for a reason. We had self-rule. We ruled ourselves. We had militias. The state usually had a militia. It was part of the Constitution. Typically, it was able-bodied men above the age of 20. There were also private militias. And we can actually say they were social clubs, drinking buddies, like the Ethan Allen and the Green Mountain Boys, the Green Mountain Men, I think they called themselves. Bunch of drinkers, just a bunch of drunks, had a good time, boasted about how they could take Fort Ticonderoga, one arm tied behind their back and all that other stuff that a good drunk will say. Well, they stumbled into the fort pretty drunk, but they took it, okay? We need our militias. What happened to our militias? In 1902, the Dick Act of 1902 was passed, and it was also called the Militia Efficiency Act of 1902. And we got suckered into passing that thing, and we should never have gotten suckered. And how do we get suckered? The act promised to never, ever take away the Second Amendment right. Well, what they did is they took away our militias. Militias were private and public. You had state militias and you had private militias. And the militias were tasked with two explicit tasks in the Constitution. The first one is to quell insurrections. The second one is to defend our borders. And that's what we need today. I call upon all state governors to reconstitute the militias. Arizona never had a militia. Arizona is the baby state. Arizona was a state in, I believe it was 1912, and it was the 48th state. So Arizona's never had a militia. But militias were private and public, and militias had the power, not the sheriff. If the sheriff committed a crime, the militia would round his butt up and take him to a judge. The same with the legislators. They didn't have the power. If the militia was upset with them, the militia would take action. And in the state in which I was born, the state of New Hampshire, the legislators were failing to do their job, failing to do their duty. And it just so happened that the state capital was moved inland to Exeter, New Hampshire. And at Exeter, New Hampshire, when the legislators entered the building to have their session, the militia circled the building and would not allow anybody in or anybody out. No food going in, nobody went in or out until the legislators completed their job. They had to debate and pass a particular piece of very important legislation, and the militia saw to it that the legislators did their job. Now, typically the state militia is under the governor, but if the governor commits a crime, any militia could go after the governor. Now, the militias did not have the judiciary power. They weren't able to try people. They weren't judges, but they were able to arrest, incarcerate, and bring before a judge. And we need our militias, and the federal government will sue any state or any group, or even charge any group or any state with crime should we try to defend our borders. However, I think that when you have a militia and it goes up to the Supreme Court, it's written explicitly in the Constitution. So boys and girls, the name today, the word today is militia. Call your representatives and tell them, demand the militia, the reinstatement of the militia. The militia needs to be armed as well as our own military. You understand what that means? That means no more NFA, National Firearms Act, no more Gun Control Act of 1968, no more Hughes Amendment, and none of this other gibberish as well. We have to have selective fire, small arms. We have to have military quality arms. So pass this around. We need our militias. We need them now. We need them to defend our borders. The border of Arizona is an open sieve. 80% of the fentanyl in the country comes through Arizona. And 40% of the fentanyl results in death. Do you understand how many people we're losing right now? That's it. Over and out.